Okay, imagine a world where 97% of living species don't form any lasting partnerships. Now imagine being a part of this team.
This kind of illustrations are probably created by a graphic designer, or they are taken from some kind of a pack. So all of the designs are similar in style, and after that you just animate them one by one using After Effects. Like keeping the style uniform is very essential to keep the video professional.
3% that's us humans. You know, we're one of the few mammals that form long-term cooperative partnerships. But why? What is it that makes
this kind of masking and layering one clip over the other is better to do in After Effects.
This is so different. So it's something called pair bonding. You know, our brains, they basically figured out that forming strong attachments.
These animations are quite cool. These animations take a lot of time, and even I'm not that good with it. I need to learn a lot of stuff to create this kind of equality. They are basically using some shapes, probably in After Effects, some gradients on the shapes, and then animating them through keyframes and all.
Something called pair bonding. You know,
there are a lot of animations in the background also.
Our brains, they basically figured out that forming
with this, these are also some other line animations, shape animations and all. Some animations are going in the background as well. So there was a lot of work that went down in this. This is not a part of video editing. You are basically a motion graphic artist if you can do these things.
Strong attachments, working as a team, sharing resources, and creating family units boosts our chances of survival. So our brains started releasing happy hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin to facilitate these bonds, evolving our social intelligence and
Also, you will see that the choice of colors are quite good. They are bright, everything is properly contrasted, and the design element of everything that is used here is very nice.
Cooperative skills. I mean, in a way, we've literally hardwired the quest for a soulmate into our DNA to the point where people who don't find a partner or don't find love have
This is a kind of effect with the highlighter and all that is used by a lot of creators. So yeah, this is the effect we also did. Like I already have a tutorial on this, how to do these things.
Shorter lifespans on average, says this paper. So learning this whole dating business, dating algorithm could actually be a matter of life and death.
Music change.
I know I'm extrapolating a bit here, but nevertheless, I feel like it's important.
Yeah, it was quite a long intro. I think the intro was 1 minute long, but it was fun to watch. Now we're going to the main one, the main video. The pacing should be a bit slower now, and there should be lesser animations, I think.
Understand the ways of our current world and why and how they're evolving. You see, this social media today is selling you all sorts of nonsense, from situationships, breadcrumbing, textationship, thirst trapping. I mean, how can we all be so stupid to fall trapped to these dumb games? Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, who creates all of this? Who benefits from all of this? Is it really you or the businesses making money off you?
The music is rising.
The way, they are making shit tons. You know, Indians by end of 2024 will be spending around $400 million on dating apps.
Animation.
Great business opportunity, capitalizing on people's loneliness and suffering for sure. But if you're an Aevy subscriber, it is my duty to share the tough truths about life, survival, relationships, why they are so important, how do you find one, when and how should you start thinking about all this, because at some point you will have to.
Yeah, you see this part, the music was riding very fast to denote the importance of the words that she was trying to portray.
I was talking to a friend recently who was sharing how he created a new profile a few weeks back, and the number of matches he got was abysmally low as opposed to the number of people he swiped right on. He was like, bro, I don't think I'm that ugly or repulsive. Why are these girls not swiping right? It's literally taking a hit on my self-confidence. And you know, that's when I was like, shit, this must be the case with so many people. So many folks on these apps must be.
These graphics and all are also created by them with some kind of a grid texture above.
Feeling this way and tying their self-worth to these dating apps without even understanding the basic economics of dating apps or how these algos actually work, because it's totally unrelated to your value, by the way. I, for one, honestly thought that it was universal truth that everybody knew that dating apps only make money if you stay on them. So it's inherently in their business model to keep you swiping and not find the perfect match, because then you leave the app. Then how do they make money? In fact, you know, just in February, Match.com, which owns all of these dating companies, by the way, was sued for this this very issue. The allegations were that the predatory business model
Yeah, while transitioning from one to another, there is a motion here you see, and a slight blur is also there, which makes it much smoother.
companies,
The
by the way,
transitions.
were sued for this very issue. The allegations were that the predatory business model of dating apps like
Also, the sound effects is very subtle, but it adds a very good touch to the transitions. You see a slight camera shutter kind of a sound effect, but it's quite nice.
Tinder, Hinge defrauds those looking for love and fearful of missing out with an algorithm that rewards compulsive use of its
Same design of characters with bright colors.
platforms and makes
This kind of animation reminds me of a channel known as Kurzgesagt. That channel has a lot of animations, and like this style of animation, it quite reminds me of that style. The older videos, at least from them.
them pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year for subscription, which is absolutely true. They also said that these companies basically gamify the platforms to transform the users into
Zooming in,
literal gamblers
transitions.
locked in search for psychological rewards that the business makes elusive on purpose again. This also absolute truth. So you see, the purpose of most of these companies is to make profits and give returns to their investors, and the algorithms have evolved to do just that. In fact, there are also a lot of conspiracy theories about Tinder literally crippling the standard free version of the app and making it basically unusable unless
These are also graphics created by them in After Effects, and you'll see the color and all is similar to the colors that they use in the character design.
you pay for a premium account or add-ons like super likes and boosts. There are also people who are coming up with all sorts of absurd strategies to get matches. Look at this. So the second
Same
issue,
highlighter.
and a new learning about
Also, if you notice the video, in every part, like there is a different kind of music being used, and the music usually turns up towards the end of that part. And after the music ends, you will see a little bit of pause of the music. You won't see any music for some time, and then the music will start again. Like this is the thing that I've noticed in this video.
So the second issue, and a new learning about these apps was very interesting to me. A few years back, there was this guy who wanted to show how algorithms work. So what he did was he designed a game called Monster Match. Now this game was meant to show how algorithms basically reinforce bias by limiting
Same use of assets created from scratch with some bright color palettes.
what you can see, and they serve the company more than the users. So these dating apps do something called collaborative filtering, which basically generates recommendations based on the majority opinion.
These animations are not that difficult of this swiping and all, but the use of sound effects here, it makes it very much better.
Not just your personal preferences. It's actually very similar to the way Netflix or even YouTube recommends what to watch. So let's say you're user A and you swipe right on a zombie and then you swipe left on vampire on Monster Match. The new user who also swipes right on a zombie
Here the same character is used with different colors, so that you don't need to do the animations again and again. You just change the color and job gets easier.
won't see the vampire in their queue only because the algo is now showing you monsters based on historical data of user A. So this is what's called collaborating filtering. Now it's useful for the app, but think about the damn vampire. What if user 2 would have liked seeing the vampire? What if user 2 and vampire could have had a fusion?
This I think is the same animation that is used at the beginning of the video, but with just different colors. So normal people won't notice it, so it's fine. But yeah, this is how you use the same animations in different parts of the video just by changing colors, and you can save a lot of time.
Together. Now it's gone, and user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5 whose profiles are similar to user 1 will probably never see the vampire. It's basically
Same here. I just can't help but notice this thing. I think all the 4 animations are same. This just plays at a different height with an overlay so that nobody notices, and nobody will notice it. But yeah, it's just a thing that I observed.
profiles are similar to user 1 will probably never see the vampire. This basically shows us how dating app users get boxed into narrow assumptions and certain profiles are routinely excluded. Now, not just this, there was another very interesting experiment which was conducted by an organization on why men specifically trouble finding matches. So what they did was they ran a simulation with 1,000 virtual profiles to see how these apps distort the real dating market. First, they imagined an ideal world where men and women use these apps equally, each viewing 100 profiles a day, and
the glows and all the glow that is happening in the background is quite cool. The simple things adds more depth into the scene.
An ideal world where men and women use these apps equally, each viewing 100 profiles a day and liking 1 in 4. So this gave everybody a 25% chance of getting a like, resulting in 25 likes and 6 matches per day. But real apps, aren't this balanced. There are more men than women on apps like Tinder and Bumble. So what they did was they assumed a ratio of 2:1 and added this to the simulation. Now in this scenario, women received twice as many likes and men got fewer likes and became more desperate, liking more and more profiles to increase their chances. Now according to Bateman's principle of evolutionary psychology, men also tend to be less picky when compared to women in picking a short-term partner. So due to this and also to just match more, men like profiles nearly 3 times as often as women, according to a New York Times article. So when they put all of this data in the simulation, women received 92 likes on average, while men got just 7. Now, one thing that we haven't considered till now is attractiveness. In reality, some profiles are more attractive than others, and a small number of users get the majority of these likes. Data from an engineer at Hinge showed that 50% of men's likes go to just 25% of women, while 50% of women's likes.
Now you see that the style of the animation has changed a little bit. There are more glows throughout the scene.
Go to only 15% of men. Now, when they updated this data in the
and the use of motion graphics here is perfect. Whenever she needs to explain something, some kind of graphics come up and it explains all the stuff.
Simulation giving users an attractiveness score from 0 to 100, the results were striking. Only top 10% of male got all the likes and all the swipes, so the power law is insanely strong on dating apps. Now imagine this. Coupled with collaborative filtering, you'll realize that it is in no way reflective of the offline dating market and in no way reflective of your value, self-esteem or self-worth. It's literally just a game for these businesses to make money and keep you swiping, and it shouldn't be thought of as anything more than that. If it lands with your first date, great, but don't go to these apps with some crazy expectations. In my opinion, I feel like they've been more of a bane than a boon to the society, and I'm not refuting people finding their partners there. Some have, but those are the outliers, not the norm. I'm just trying to evaluate the overall effectiveness of their existence. Honestly, if you look at dating apps in India, I feel like they're taking some other form altogether. Every single day on Reddit or Twitter, you see a post about how people are using these dating apps to extort money. There's a whole dating app mafia, and people have literally lost lakhs to these scams. So an individual today needs to be all the more careful when getting on a Tinder or a Hinge.
Another music change.
Now, while this is obviously very scary to see, but what's more worrying to me is that these apps are inherently changing the very fabric of relationships. Firstly, what they do is they prolong the whole pre-commitment stage. It's literally like you have to go through tens of levels to just make it to a relationship. I'm not even talking about marriage here. A few months back, we done a video on why it's tough for Gen Zs to adapt to the usual workplace norms as opposed to millennials, where he spoke about this concept in sociology called Enculturation. What that basically means is that humans learn how to behave in an environment with the help.
I think my light got off. It's fine though. Let's continue.
Help of others who've been around longer. Now in the case of Gen Zs, the whole dating inculturation happened over digital.
These kind of animations are very difficult to create, I would say. Yeah. I won't say it's difficult, but this kind of animations takes a lot of time and you need to be quite...
Others who've been around longer.
You need to have a good practice in After Effects to create this kind of animations.
Humans learn how to behave in an environment with the help of others who've been around longer. Now in the case of Gen Zs, the whole dating inculturation happened over digital platforms, Tinder, Hinge, social media because of the pandemic. So that kind of became the norm for them. But I feel like it's the same data.
Now you'll see this, she's using stocks here instead of the motion graphics. But even in the stocks, you'll see some kind of an overlays there. These lines.
Media because of the pandemic.
So these lines make all these stocks quite similar and uniform. It gives the uniformity of the video.
Right. So that kind of became the norm for them. But I feel like it's these same dating apps that have made relationships super transactional today. People now are increasingly treating intimacy and emotional connection as products that can be consumed rather than bonds to be nurtured. What these dating apps do is they present people as these products to be browsed, compared, and then added to cart. And I feel like this
Some more cool
commodification
animations.
of human beings is encouraging a very shallow, consumerist approach to relationships. What's basically happening is people are treating potential partners as something disposable, always looking for an upgrade. And the sheer number of potential matches also creates a paradox of choice. See, with so many options, we become paralyzed, always wondering if there's somebody better just a few swipes away. And this is what's preventing people from fully investing in any one connection. You know, people are literally forgetting that the best established predictors of how a romantic relationship will develop can only be known after the relationship begins, which most of the people are not even reaching at. These apps honestly are just making people waste their time, that's all. Now, I don't mean to say this to scare you, but I want you all to know that post you turn 30, a lot of you might start running out of options. So if in your 20s you keep playing these dumb games on dating apps, you could lose out on finding somebody. And it's not because you lack something, it's because in India, as a culture, most families put insane pressure on kids to get married before they turn 30, and most people even give into it. So the pool of people who you could form long-lasting relationships with, you had when you're 26 or 27, keeps reducing as you get older. Post 24, 25, long-term relationships are something.
This kind of an animation is also quite cool. You see here, there's a slider that goes in. This can also be done in After Effects. But yeah, it looks quite cool. From the entire video, if you have any requests on what styles to recreate and all, just leave a comment below and I'll try to make a tutorial on that.
As you get older. Post 24, 25, long-term relationships are something that all of you need to start thinking about. And if you dig deeper, you'll understand that as people age, as people get older, people start becoming more rigid. See, if you look at our brains, they reach a significant level of maturation in the mid-20s, but as individuals progress into 30s, adult synaptic plasticity, or the ability of connections to strengthen or weaken in response to activity, changes. Now, what this shift can do is, it can result in the brain becoming more specialized and efficient in certain areas, but potentially less flexible in adapting.
Here some icons are used, but the icons are of a similar style.
The cognitive flexibility.
There's different colors, but style is same.
It will take you a little more extra effort to adjust. I'm not saying that you will not find a partner when you're older. I'm just saying that it's much easier to find one when you're younger. And a lot of people now might say that, hey, 20s are for exploring and figuring out what we want to focus on ourselves. Great. Figure out your career, learn some skills, but don't not invest in long-term relationships once you're done so. And when I say invest, I don't mean go make dating app profiles. I mean actually putting in the effort to try and form a long-lasting relationship. This is physically going and meeting people, communicating rather than just texting, actually putting in time, getting to know the other person. And to this segment, to share some news with all of you.
Okay, I think we're in the sponsorship part.
We started a video editing cohort.
Yeah,
we had this
is the sponsorship of the editing cohort. I think we can just fast forward this thing.
Content, right? To make 18
yes.
I don't know if
Thank you.
Finish the cohort.
Thank you.
To create this recruiter network of 500 training about that's not a place. Don't take my videos like Aevy TV. See some of the work that our cohort students have averaged for yours. I'm putting them on relationships in description. See you there. You know, a lot of people have this absurd idea that relationships or love is something that you're just supposed to fall into or stumble upon.
Some more use of stocks.
That's how the movies show it.
But
reality is actually very, very different.
They are used inside an overlay. All the stocks are used inside an overlay and let's see. Overlay and some kind of, this line animations. Not animations, I mean line overlay. And this rectangular overlay. So they look and feel similar. Whenever you're adding different stocks, use some kind of an overlay or things like that to make them feel similar.
It's actually very, very different. Long-term relationships are not just this thing that happens to you. It's actually a skill, just like everything else in life. And it's not just about falling in love, right? It's about staying in love. And let me tell you something. Looking at this whole staying in relationship as a skill does not take away from the sanctity of relationships, but you need to understand that relationships are not just about the initial chase and the butterflies you
some
feel
more
in the tummy.
effects.
It's a decision to stay with that person after these butterflies are gone. I feel like it's a luxury to have somebody take care of you, be invested in your growth as much as you are in yours. Now, there's two of you rather than just one. You are never alone in anything you do, any decision you make, you have another person who can help you, guide you, and there are literally so many proven benefits of a good relationship. For example, mental health. Studies show how people in loving relationships report lower stress and higher happiness.
Music has changed.
Physical
Different
health.
music.
Research indicates that married individuals often live longer, healthier lives. Economic stability. Two incomes and shared resources can provide a financial buffer. And also social networks. Couples often have broader social connections, which again can be crucial for everything from finding jobs to emotional support. But look at us. Here we are, breadcrumbing it seems. And I mean, what does that even mean and why are we resorting to all this? See, I understand that it's tough because two people make a relationship. So you'll be like, hey, I could be doing my part, but what about the other person? And that is the main reason why I say that this new culture that promotes poor communication skills is harming everybody. It's toxic. You know, relationships help you become better communicators, not just with friends, but at work as well. But here
Some
people are
more
promoting
animations.
not talking, ghosting. It's so
I need to
stupid,
create one
right?
tutorial on how
People
to
on
do this.
Twitter,
And
Reddit,
I need to learn
promoting
some
all of
things
this
myself.
are probably young and haven't faced any adversities in life. God forbid any of you get any chronic illness. It will be absolutely horrible going through it all alone. And loneliness in itself has been proven to be extremely bad and dangerous for your health. Having meaningful relationships is a basic human need people avoid for far too long, only to realize that now they're too scared to form any sort of connection because of fear of rejection. There's an actual phenomena which was explained by a researcher where he says that when we feel isolated, our brain becomes more sensitive to social stimuli. It's like how you become more sensitive to bitter tastes when starving because those tastes are associated with poisons. So what loneliness does is it heightens your alertness to social danger, making you wary of connecting with people.
Some
Because
more
you felt lonely and
innovations.
you're scared of forming a connection, in turn you don't even try, which I feel like just makes the issue all the more worse. And you know,
Now
a lot of
the-
people just numb it or deny this feeling of
Towards the end of the
loneliness
video, they are
because
using
it's
a
just
lot of
easier to sit and
animations.
scroll on YouTube or Instagram,
Towards the
right,
beginning, they
than
used some
go out
animations.
and actually form
In
real
the middle of the
connection.
video,
It's
there
easy
were
to
a
fight
little
it in
bit,
comments
but now
on
they've
social
increased
media,
the
getting dopamine hits from that. But the easy way out
frequency.
is not always the best way out. And I worry because all the problems that you see in the West eventually show up in India because we take a lot of inspiration from the West. And they are right now going through a loneliness epidemic, extremely high divorce rates, no relationships. Everybody is just about me, myself, and I, and then suffers once they get older. And I really genuinely don't want the youth, our Indian Gen Z, to go through this in their lives. So the question becomes, what do we do? Is there a solution? How do we form meaningful relationships? The remedy, as I've said multiple times, it's back to basics, back to offline real world connections. And you know, I was recently seeing how a lot of cities are coming up with new innovative ways to make people meet. Look at all these mixers,
Simple
which
pan
don't just happen
down
in tier 1 cities anymore, but tier
of
2
some
cities
graphics.
as well. Of course, you have to make sure that all of these mixers are safe, especially for women. But it's a great way to meet people because you know that the people who are showing up for these mixers also have the same intent as you. They're also looking to find somebody and build meaningful relationships. And not just this, there are so many other ways. There are so many offline communities, there are book clubs, sports,
Some more simple
so many
animations
options
of
out there,
graphics,
but you
I mean
need to
images.
put in the effort. And honestly, if you're shy and worried that what should you do once you're a part of these communities and once you show up at these events, just have 2 to 3 faces ready and questions ready and approach people with a smile. And I feel like the more often you do this, the better communicator you also become, which is again a very, very useful skill in life. So all you gotta do is take that first step, join some offline community and go meet people face to face. You know, every batch of our video editing cohorts also, no matter what, we make sure that even if 10 or 15 students want to show up,
Simple
we always
pan
do offline meetups
with
because
some
in-person
images and
interactions are so important.
clips.
People make friends, people find business partners, and I don't know, hopefully sometime in the future, maybe somebody might find a life partner as well. But why I'm so hell-bent on offline is because all the magic in relationships happens in person. And the least you can do for yourself is at least try. I believe you can only get lucky if you make the attempt to get lucky. So go try in the right direction, that's offline, not online. And once you do find somebody, I urge you to seek authentic connection, real communication. Don't hide behind your screens. Spend time face to face and build something meaningful and long lasting. Honestly, my partner was one of the best decisions of my life, and I genuinely, wholeheartedly hope that you all are able to find somebody too. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope you guys learned something new and also unlearned some of the stuff that social media has been telling you. My name is Achina Maya. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. See you in the next video.
Yeah, this was a good one. A lot of motion graphics.